Hey, Michael or
Hello,
Mikhail.
hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, okay. I see the banner out there. Good
Yeah, yeah.
marketing.
Cool. Let us know, please, how to pronounce your name correctly,
Okay.
like Americans, Michael or Mikael.
Well, in Denmark, it's Mikael.
Yeah,
But,
that's why
you
I have
know,
asked.
as soon as we cross the border, it's Michael. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have asked, because for me, we are Europeans, it's more common for us to call Mikael, but wanted to ask what.
Yeah. But I promise to answer you no matter which one you go with. So,
Okay, perfect. First of all, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. Today we'll record episode number 3. Had we had two guys from US and from Canada, and now you'll be our first European guest.
hey, go to
Yeah, which
Europe.
is great. I wanted to ask you several questions before we'll start. Are you comfortable with sharing team size, revenue size, or you want to keep these things private?
Yeah.
No, it's fine. We're very early stage, so there's not a lot to disclose yet. So feel free to ask.
Okay, perfect. I expect I think we'll need 45 minutes to record this episode. Are you okay with this timing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Well, then we can start. Steph, can you make
Yeah,
sure that
it's all good. I'm sharing now it on the B2B marketers and founders page, and we can already start actually.
Okay, perfect. So this is our episode 3 of the Bootstrap Startup podcast with your hosts Andre and Stefan. And today we invited our first European guest, Mikael Skovsgaard, who is CEO and founder of startup called Whaii. And with Mikael, we'll talk about how did he validate his idea, what stage his startup is right now, what are his plans, what is his marketing strategy, and all the things everybody is interested in. So first of all, Mikael, thanks a lot for joining us today. Can you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Of course, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Well, yeah, my name is Michael Skovsgaard, and I'm the CEO and founder of Whaii.com. Well, basically, we got this idea 2 years ago and have been developing since, and have very recently finished development of our first official version. So we just gone into the market now. So it's very exciting times for us, and getting ready for our first round of external investment soon as well. So a lot of things going on. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I looked at your startup, and I just one question pumped in my head. Do you sell it to SMB or do you sell it to enterprise companies?
Well, we actually have two different versions. We have a standalone version that can be used in any browser. So SMB companies can use that straight out of the gate. And then we have a version that is meant to be integrated into enterprise HR platforms, so that enterprise companies can basically integrate our solution into their existing workflow. So they're both segments for us.
Got it. And you mentioned that Whaii is basically a software that helps to do automated candidate screening for HRs. Can you maybe describe some of features and maybe provide some more details about the product?
Sure. So first of all, the reason why we wanted to create this software was actually to help ourselves, because in our previous careers, we've hired a lot of people, but we've also had to let some people go, and other people have decided to go by themselves and leave our companies. Okay. And we've always been pretty good at hiring based on competencies. But when we looked at why a certain employee either had to be let go or left by themselves, it was often other factors, like, you know, the personality wasn't right with the team they were working in, or maybe they didn't feel at home in the culture or the values of the company. And we decided that it would be a great tool to have if we could analyze all candidates even before they're invited to interviews, and have a sense of whether or not they would actually fit into the team or into the company. So that's basically why we wanted to create the tool, so that we could avoid these failed hires, so that we could avoid the monetary loss of having to go out and hire a new person and not being productive in the meantime, but also helping to avoid that these employees that were hired, that they didn't, you know, kind of have this bad experience. Mm-hmm. So that's why we wanted to create the tool, and then we started to look into how can we do that, and because we wanted to automate the process as much as we could, so that we didn't just introduce another process on top of all the other processes that were already going on. And we discovered that we could use linguistic analysis. Oh. And you know, you can study to be a linguist at university, so you can study text and you can infer a lot of interesting information about the person who has written that text, about the personality and the values and the culture of that person. And actually it's that kind of science that we have just trained a computer to do, and are using to automate, you know, the analysis of the applications, so that we can.
Michael, I have a question. Are you using NLP? Yeah. Are you using NLP to process all this data?
We're not using NLP in this. This is you know, it's machine learning. Okay. That has been taught the science and the algorithms behind the linguistic analysis, but in order to identify the skills in the applications, we actually use natural language processing for that, so that we can make sure that if you write that you have experience within creative software, for instance, or video editing, that's if we have written something else as a requirement, that we can identify those different words and see that you actually mean the same thing. So we use a variant of it.
Mm-hmm. You know, your story reminded me that lots of great products originate from personal need or personal challenge.
And this is just another example of that.
Yeah. And I was wondering, when you just came up with the idea, did you monitor the market? Were at that stage any competitive products?
Yeah, we both looked at what's out there at that moment. Are there anybody doing this already? And we also booked meetings with a lot of our contacts that we had with some of the large companies here in Denmark, and I tried to figure out, is this an issue, or is it just us? Do they see the same problems that we have been experiencing, and is it just as big as a problem as we've seen it, and is it something that they would actually like to solve? That was the answer was fortunately positive, that it was a problem that they wanted to have solved. So that kind of gave us the thumbs up to go ahead and start the development.
I'm wondering, did you first of all, during that validation process, how did you reach out to customers, to potential customers? Because I know lots of startup founders or those who just have an idea, they struggle with reaching out to target audience. The most common question is, you know, how to select the right group of people to ask their feedback, because you might get inappropriate and incorrect feedback and then create a wrong MVP. The next question, how to persuade them to have a meeting or have a call with me. So what was your approach? How did you choose the group, and how did you persuade them to have a call and provide you a feedback on idea?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because it can be a challenge, and we were fortunate enough that many of the people that we wanted to talk to were people that we have done business with previously in our careers. So we had a good network that we could activate and book meetings with them. So that wasn't that hard, and they were pretty open in discussing their issues and problems and how we could help. But when we step outside of our own network, it's a hard thing. It's something that you really have to just keep on going, because there's a lot of no's involved along the way, and you just have to keep going until you find the ones that see what it is that you're trying to do, and can see the benefit of having this discussion. And we were lucky enough that there were a lot of people who were willing to do that. But we also, in order to go out as broadly as we could, we came in contact with another Danish company called User Tribe. And what they do is that they have a huge database of people within different industries in different positions and within different kind of, you know, job positions, that you can tell them that we have an HR solution. We would like to test that with HR people at a senior level in companies of this and this size. And then they look in their database and they send out invitations to them. And we found quite a lot of interesting people there willing to test our software, where we actually had them recorded on video as they tested it, so we can see their reactions, and we could get some really useful feedback during the development as well. So it was a combination of our network and some hard work getting